Oh, so I'm glad I'm meeting you again. It seems like it was 1 week since the last time we saw each other. Okay, so I don't know how it went for you during this month. Did you have any chance to practice a bit? Did you f n not everyone? Yeah, that's the new practitioner dance. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I see. So maybe the topic of today is going to be right on point then. Um, so we'll exchange. If you have any question, we can exchange at the end of the session. We have an hour. Um, so as you know, the way I design the practice and the retreat that I'm guiding is to put a lot of emphasis on joy. I think by now you've seen that, and it's not of my invention at all. It's something that was designed right from the start. And I can see traces of the importance of joy in all Buddhist tradition, from the Theravada to Mahayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. Shantideva saying that serenity is achieved by joy for those who are not craving for this life. And I think you've heard me a few times saying that we need these two aspects of joy and also not craving. And to be able to combine that, that gives one of the best beginning for the shamatha practice. Shamatha practice is a cause for wisdom, but it's also an effect of something. And if we're experiencing trouble finding time to meditate, maybe the session of today can hopefully be beneficial. So joy is definitely something we have to experience for the mind to be focusing. And I will share with you one sutra from the Pali tradition, the tradition that has been traveling to Southeast Asia, that speak about the importance of joy. And basically, it says that concentration is naturally coming when there is joy and bliss in body and mind. Concentration naturally comes. We don't have to make an extra struggle, an extra act of will, or a wish even for concentration to come. When bliss and joy are present, concentration naturally comes. But how do we produce joy now? That's the next step. How do we produce joy? And the sutra goes on to saying, well, there's no wish, there's no purpose for wish, or there's no need for wishing for joy to come. Because when there's no regret, joy naturally comes. And that's something I would like to talk about today. The mind that has some regret. So that might be something we can check for ourselves. Is my mind having remorse, regret? And in Buddhist psychology, regret can be beneficial if we regret something that was actually hurtful for us or other. And it can be unwholesome if we regret something we did that was actually beneficial. But no matter what type of regret we have, it's always destroying the stability of the mind. That's the function of regret. It destroys the stability of the mind, and regret is always unpleasant. So obviously, when we have regret, it's very hard to experience joy, because we cannot have joy that is not pleasant. And we cannot have regret that is pleasant. Regret is always unpleasant. So to be joyful, it's very easy when there's no regret. And we can have regret, oh, I should have practiced. I don't have time to do that. We said last time we were going to do meditation, and I thought I was going to meditate every week, but then I cannot meditate. And then we feel bad because we find ourselves sometimes it's easy for us to go Netflix, which is fine. And it's very hard for us to find 20 minutes to meditate, or even when we do, we don't have really energy for that because it's the end of the day and we're tired. It's all right. These things happen. But then it brings to mind a certain resistance that we look in the past and we say, oh, I should have done that. I should have practiced. I never really succeed. This is always the same. I get a bit joyful when I meet a new teaching, a new technique, and then I fall back again in the same patterns. And this is regret. It's a dislike of something that we've done. And I'm not going to say if it's wholesome or not, because as I told you, regret is always something unpleasant. So the sutras is basically saying, well, when there's regret, it's very hard to be joyful, and when there's no joy, that's unlikely we can actually meditate and correctly focus our mind. That's why Shantideva is to say concentration is achieved with joy by those who have no craving for this life. And that's why also in the technique that you've been training into, I emphasize a lot of joyous effort. Seeing the benefit of concentration, why is it good for me to have faith, basically all what I gave you during the past months. But maybe we do try to get more joy, but it doesn't come also. It's very possible. And there could be many reasons. I'm not going to cover all the causes for lack of joy. But I'm just going to suggest something. So now when we see ourselves having regret or remorse or guilt, where could that come from? And the sutra that is the Cetana Sutra saying, well, there's no need to wish for being free of regret, because when there is morality or when there is ethical discipline, we are naturally free from regret. Okay, so that's the very beginning of the sutra. Ethical discipline is what creates no regret creates joy, joy creates concentration. That's the summary. So how is it now that ethics is making us being free of regret? And what does it say about our practice of shamatha? What can we take from that? And on that topic, I have a question, because what is ethical discipline? Ethical discipline is basically to refrain from what is unwholesome. And what is unwholesome has the power to disturb the mind. So that's why ethics is considered as the best way to make a mind distracted, not distracted. That's not even concentration that does that. It's ethics. And I can share something about my practice that I find sometimes that I'm pushing the button, trying to meditate, trying to implement the technique. But the basic problem that I have is an ongoing lack of morality, which can express because my mind is very excited, because I wish I could travel, because I'm taking into too many activities, and there's an underlying excitement. And at the time I'm meditating, it's becoming very hard for me to meditate. I noticed that. So what do I need to do when I feel something like that? Is to start thinking about the problem of too much activities. Too much time I'm wasting on unnecessary activities. And that's what I wanted to tell you, is that when I do that, and when someone does that, we generate regret. We start to see something that was exciting as something we start to dislike. Netflix for me is no longer nice when I really reflect on how much time I spend on that. But at the time I do that, I don't have regret for that. But for me to stop, if I've identified Netflix, for example, as a problem, I have to start to dislike it. At one point, it has to start to be unpleasant. Because if it's not, then it's unlikely I'm going to stop. And this we find in many of the texts, in the Pali tradition, in the Sanskrit tradition, that says that regret is unpleasant. But it's often what is the first step for us to take decision in our lives, to transform a habit. So if that's true, that the mind that has no regret has joy, and having no regret, it comes from ethical discipline, to be able to have a much more balanced ethical life requires regret, requires some time to spend time, and that's unpleasant. And I've noticed myself when I do this period of my life when I try to restore ethical, what really matters, what is important, it's unpleasant. And when it's unpleasant, I notice my mind becoming harder to focus. My concentration is not as good as before, but that's just temporary. Because at one point I take decisions that are unpleasant sometimes, but then it starts to hit a plateau. Then once the decision is taken, resolution is taken, then I start to feel the benefit of it for the practice of shamatha. And then on that basis of ethical discipline, concentration can come. And here I'm going to cite a text from Lama Tsongkhapa, who's giving the actual etymology of ethics. And what he says, it's very interesting. It says, the Sanskrit term for morality is sila, which is composed of the word sita, referring to coolness, and lati, meaning to attain. So basically, ethical discipline is to attain coolness, which is beautiful. Coolness of what now? A bodhisattva on the ground of stainless has attained the coolness born of having extinguishes the fire of remorse from accruing the downfall of violating the prescribed rules. It's a bit complicated, but what it says basically is that sila, it brings coolness of the fire of remorse. That's the etymology of sila. It brings coolness of the fire of remorse. And once ethical discipline through vows and resolution is taken, then joy comes much stronger and it's much easier to meditate. So that's true, I'm teaching a lot on joy, but this day, no. This day will be to say it's fine also to take period of time, which is going to be a bit difficult, unpleasant, but sometimes it's what promote us to take decisions that on the longer term will be really beneficial for our concentration. So the sutra that I was mentioning say, First, there is ethical discipline. Ethical discipline brings freedom from regret. Because when you're free from, when there is ethical discipline, it's very easy to have this ease of mind, bliss. And when that comes, net concentration comes. But what the sutra doesn't say is that for establishing ethics, we need regret. So there are phases, I would say, in our practice where we have to take a bit of time and go back to ethical discipline. And I'm mentioning that because ethical discipline could be also in the mix of why am I not able to find time to meditate? Because finding time to meditate often comes from regretting things that we are engaging in that take a lot of our time and that may not be fruitful on the long term. Let's say how much of the evenings I spend on Netflix watching documentary. Let's say I spend 2 hours a day. And I can't even manage to meditate 20 minutes a week. Then that can be ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. If at one point we don't look at that and start to see this watching of Netflix 2 hours a day as non-beneficial up to the point where we start to dislike that, it's unlikely we're going to stop. This is part of ethics, to have regret. And at one point we stop, and because we take the strong resolution, we start to be joyful about that. So it's not all about joy, basically. There's also kind of a dirty job to do sometimes. That's hard. That's hard, but that's what we need sometimes. And that's what I need myself sometimes, and it's painful. Because I have to do a checkup of, oh my God, my practice on this area has really degenerated. It's painful to see. So what I'm suggesting for those who find it hard to take time is now, how can we find time? And that is going to be a bit in the file that I'm going to send you in the coming days. That the first thing probably is to generate regret. What does it mean? To see something as non-beneficial. Is there some activity during the day that are not purely essential on the long term for my well-being, for the welfare of others also? And that might take days before we actually pinpoint something and we start to say, okay, now, once I know this is non-beneficial, what do I do of it? I apply an antidote. Then I restore a long-term goal. This is aspiration. This is called the power of the basis. And then at one point, I'm ready to take a resolution, a decision. And also that decision, we have to make possible that we're going to keep it. How do we do that? Well, we have to practice. That our resolution has to be realistic, that we have to be clearly seeing what will happen if we take that decision, and to take it as a training. So it's basically what you've probably heard about the 4 opponent powers. This is what transforms a habit, basically. And that is very important, I would say, in the practice of shamatha. Because otherwise there's no point in trying to force ourselves into meditation if we can't find time. At one point, if we want to be consistent in the practice, we have to dedicate time. And sometimes finding time is the most complicated thing that we have, and maybe that's the thing that we should invest a bit of energy into. How can I find time? And I'm suggesting that quite often it's not a problem of not having time, it's a problem of motivation. So we will have one more date in September before we part until next year. So maybe on the next date, I will be more in a kind of uplifting mood. But I think if we have 1 month to reflect on that, especially if we're in a summer break, for example, that would be so nice. That we ask ourselves, how can I find time? What are the things that are not essential? And for answering that question, the trick and the problem is that we already need some time. So time is so important. How can I find time to answer that question of time? I really have to take time to answer that question of time, basically. Were we meditating more in the past? Did we have the impression we had more time? How come we feel we have less time? Finding time. My goodness, this is so hard. I think Buddha coming nowadays would really have to say a lot on that. We have so much to do. We are so busy, so much different activities to perform. And yet, there's no magic. Concentration cannot come if we don't invest a bit of time. For me, I'm so smart in trying to find bypass. Yeah, maybe I will just be so good in the technique that I will not need to take too much time. But yes, yeah, we do. And it's a very good investment in ourselves, in our potential, that we give some time for our potential to flourish. So that's what's going to be the plan for the coming months if you want to embark into it. Okay, so now coming back to our practice of shamatha. If you want, you can take a nice, comfortable position. And we might check our feelings, because maybe our feelings are not pleasant now. And if they are not, then it's normal if it's a bit tricky to start meditating. That's something we have to acknowledge, our feelings, the way we perceive our experience of body, speech, mind, environment. And what is the trace in our feeling left by what has just been said? How do we feel we're reacting to that? Is it pleasant? Does it leave some uneasiness that there might be some truth that is a bit painful? But if it's unpleasant, that's what we have. And we start with what we have. No choice. So let's turn our awareness to our breath. And let's make our breath the more natural as possible. And we take the breath as it is and we try to accompany it to relax. So that the breath offers a nice environment to our meditation. And now let's know that when we are breathing in, we actually breathe in. And when we are breathing out, we know it's breathing out. We may not have to have inner words to know that. It can help. We can use it if it helps. But it's not necessary to have inner words. It's not just some feelings that I have when I'm breathing in. I know it's the breathing. I know it's the in-breath. I remember this is the in-breath. So to know that we're breathing in, we may feel tactile sensation, hear something, but there's an extra layer in which we know it's the in-breath. We know it's the out-breath. Try to witness the difference between just feeling something happening while you breathe and knowing that you're breathing in while you're breathing in. Okay, we do a pause. Do you feel the difference? It's basically look at the camera and you see me, and you could just see colors and shapes without recognizing anything in the field of vision. Try to do that for just a few seconds. Try not to isolate object in the field of your vision, just to have just color and shapes. Because whenever you start to isolate something, it means you already have the mental conceptual mind that does, oh, this is it, this is that, this is that. Not just color, pure color and shape. You see, it's very hard to maintain an awareness like that. That's why it says that the direct perception is very short. Very quickly, we start to do. And we need that actually in the meditation. We need to know that is not just tactile sensation or sound. On top of that, we know breathing in. We know that's it. We can say a mental, that's it. This is the in-breath. This is the out-breath. We need that. Okay? Now let's try to do 10 cycles of breathing, counting from 1 to 10, and knowing I'm breathing in when I'm breathing in, knowing that I'm breathing out when I'm breathing out. You may not know each part. You can skip one or two, but don't skip the counting. Let's try. And then we might stop, take a break, check that our body is relaxed. Let's do that again. And we stop. So while you do that, you explore the breath with the knowledge this is in, this is out, counting up to 10. Too much and you feel you're distracted because we are very tired, so right? But maybe because it's a bit too long also. Let's try again. Okay, we stop. This time we're gonna make 2 times. Maybe I stopped you before. I'm sorry about that. 2 times 10. Let's try. Okay. And meanwhile, from time to time, we check if our mind is distracted. Let's do a pause. Let's try again. Okay. And now, rather than exploring the little tiny parts of the breath, we just know that we are breathing. A bit, if you look at the screen and you see, you can say mentally, you say, oh, this is hand. I know this is the hand. This is the hand. So there's many things. But you could say also, oh, this is François. This is François. Still François. Moving François, but still François. Same. Here, it's moving, it's not the same pace, rhythm. Many things are changing, many feelings different are perceived, but it's always the breath. I know this is the breath, and I don't have to make as much effort. And I relax in that awareness. Okay? And if we are totally distracted, it's fine, because at one point we have to extend to face those distractions. And at one point, with mindfulness and vigilance, they will be smaller and smaller, up to the point where we don't totally forget our object of meditation. Shall we try? From time to time, our vigilance can check the quality of our posture, that it's still suitable for our meditation, that it's still a nice environment, no tension. And it checks also that we are maybe experiencing some more ease, relaxation, that our perception of our body changes, that our mind changes, that our breath also changes. Our primary activities on the breath, and on the side, sometimes we check if we're distracted. We're having recollection, we remind ourselves what was my thought about while maintaining awareness of our breath. And may our breath reflect our state of non-craving, even for a result in the practice of shamatha. And slowly we're going to bring this meditation to an end. Okay, so that's it. If you have any question, comments on the first part or on the part of meditation, can be on the thing of finding time, which is really, it's really a thing. I don't think I've seen so much in the sutra of finding time. I'm reflecting, but I don't think it exists. How to find time? Oh, how to find time. And I think we've done that meditation of we have enough time. It's good to look at time in the sense that we have enough time. Because when we are stressed, to think that we have enough time, I'm sitting down, I have 20 minutes, this is enough time for me to meditate. This is relaxing. But at certain time, we need to find an observation that we don't have enough time. So it really depends. Huh? We can play with the way we look at time. There are many ways of looking at time in different manners. And sometimes to look at time and say, my goodness, I'm 45 now. I really wish for myself I could do a breakthrough in meditation and reach a certain level or enter the path. And sometimes I reflect that and I see myself caught in the same patterns, and not the same, they're different, but they come and go. So regret is it's nicely powerful, but it's a dangerous, function of the mind. The Mahaprajna Sutra says, yeah, it's good to have regret, but if you have too much, then it's how does it say in the text? It's not useful anymore, because then it turns into remorse and aversion for oneself, but just the right pinch. So we start to see if certain things are unnecessary, maybe. So, yeah, I'm asking for question, but I'm mostly speaking. So, if you want to share something or say something, it's hard. You accept it's hard to find time. Oh, it's easy to find time. It's hard, right? Clear?
Yes, I think I'm not example, but I think it's easy because we have all the time in the world. Actually, we all have 24 hours, 7 days a week. We don't need more than that. It's just question, not question of time, priority. This is the question. What we prefer to do, what is important, and what is less important.
Mm.
And from the Buddhist perspective, there is only one time, is the present, and is no beginning, no end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why maybe that's not mentioned in the sutra about finding time, because the problem of it's less about having time than what we prioritize. That's true. Yeah. Mm. Someone wanted to add something? Allez. Yes, yes, yes.
I feel, hi, thank you for the lesson. I feel that it's very tricky to find the balance, like you said, like with how much, because of course we want to spend as much time as possible meditating, but also like how do I know, like I didn't really understand how to generate this regret about doing like the example you said, watching Netflix, because you know life here is intense, so like
Yeah.
what is the proper amount and how to, you know, I feel like I'm living with a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's true, because we also need to relax, and sometimes relaxing with may do like go to the swimming pool and things like that. But I mean, if we are about to find 20 minutes a day, what could we do less? If we're watching 2 episodes, maybe we watch 1.5. I'm not saying that we are supposed to end up thinking that I'm going to meditate 10 hours a day. This is not, but to be realistic also, that maybe I start slowly, but consistently with a strong resolution. And that's true. How do we generate this regret? I think that has to come also from repeated looking at the things we've done, and up to the point where we have this wholehearted feeling, oh, there's a lot of non-beneficial things. Because maybe for half an hour I'm relaxing, but then after it dulls my mind, maybe. Is it true that when we watch 3 hours of Netflix, it's 3 hours that our mind recovers? Is it, or I'm giving myself 3 hour recovery, but after 3 hours, our mind is full of, if we watch an episode that's violent, our mind is more prone to anger. Also, the effect of the program that we are watching on our well-being. This is something we can question. If it's violent, if it's jealousy stories, or, there's so many things. I know a lot about screenwriting, and I know that, yeah, to captivate, you have to generate emotions, and those emotions are not always wholesome. So is it really that we give ourselves 3 hours of pure spa time, and after we are totally regenerated? No. Like scrolling for 1 hour on TikTok, which I don't know exactly what it does, but I can infer that after 1 hour, it's not very, I don't feel totally, it's so nice, I can sleep now. I'm so peaceful. And So then generating regret is basically that. It's to look at these things and to start to think, well, no. On the long term, it's not regenerating. It gives me a sense of pleasure in the moment that I need because I'm tired. But there's a trick to it, maybe. And to consistently redo that exercise up to the point where we say, okay, I have to do something.
So it's by analysis, like
It's by analysis, yeah.
the effect of these actions on my mind and my well-being. And
absolutely, yeah. So sometimes it's not even to take half an hour meditating a day. Maybe it's to take half an hour just sitting and reflecting on your life, on our life. Maybe that's just enough. Maybe that would be already great to just spend half an hour just thinking, okay, I'm going to do a little summary of the past year. What are the strengths? What are the things that I would like to improve? What are the things I would like to change? And they're not changing if we don't observe them most of the time. It comes through repeated observation of saying, okay, yeah, I didn't see that. But it's true that this part, the aspect of my behavior has a bit changed. For this, we absolutely need a bit of reflection for that. And for that, we need time. There's no shortcut, I'm afraid.
thank you.
But that regret, we have to really manipulate it with care as like a very powerful tool, like uranium, but can be very dangerous also. So that's why keeping a practice, samatha, can be very healthy while doing it. And to know that eventually the purpose is to be blissful. And sometimes we say, okay, I'm giving myself 1 month of checkup of my behavior. Do I have addictive behavior? And for 1 month, it may not end up pleasant at all. But because we take decision, it creates a strong momentum for much better blissful concentration. So that's up to us. That's up to us. And I think the time is over, my dear friends. So I'll send you a file with inspiration from the sutras. You'll see from the sutras food for your thinking and probably also some guidelines to reflect on time. Tal, you wanted to say something?
Oh, Yael just wrote that they had an electricity collapse, you know, the electricity went down. So she was shut off.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
She was sorry to leave us. And since you're sending us very, very precious materials, and I don't have the names of everyone because we didn't create a registration list. So, for instance, there was Anat, I don't know her, or if you're not in touch with FPMT regularly, you can send us the details so that I'll know you were part of the group and then send you what François sent us.
Yes, you're right, because you have to be registered.
Because, yeah, next time, you know, we'll just ask to register, and so it will be.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And if Alexandra, you can, if you want, send an email as I send you to Tal, to FPMT, then you will be on the loop for next session on September.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Wonderful.
Stay.
My dear friends, all the best for your practice in the coming time. We'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch. We found a place for the retreat.
Oh,
Yeah. Hopefully it will work out. You can write down.
wonderful.
5th of March, 2026.
26th of March next year, most likely on shamatha, on the nature of consciousness, on the nature of the mind, which is a bit of an introduction to Mahamudra. So I think it can be such a nice journey altogether. hopefully. Thank you so much, Tal, for all the work. I know it's a big
Thank
work
you.
to organize these
Thank
things.
you, thank you, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a
Bye.
wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much love.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Bye.